Good evening once again. I is back and welcome to another Jim's Monday Malt Samples. Yes, indeed. And I'll do what I usually do. I'll dive into the chat here first, just and see who's in it. Say hello, and then we will have a guest, Lee J. Brown in early doors. Pete Head, Frank, good to see you. Luna Aaron in, good to see you. McCallum Fine and Rare, the Doc, how are you, my friend? Menno's Multi Mission, Greg's Whiskey Guide. Everybody chatting away to each other there. It's good to see all the usual faces who will be chatting away. Paul McRae in there. I'll try and get in when I can. But tonight's guest is good for a chat, as we all know. Now, what we also know, Alan McLaughlin, good to see you, mate. What we also know, and we're going to try and avoid this tonight, is that this man does like a marathon session. And I am going to try and avoid that if I can, because I have an early morning-ish in the morning. But at the same time, I would like you all to sort of not physically put your hands together, but, and welcome tonight's guest, the Whisky Friend, your Whisky Friend and my Whisky Friend, Al. Alan.
Hello, everybody. How you doing? How's it going?
Yet again, I would say everybody. Sorry, mate.
It's great to be here. I hope you're planning for a long one, mate, because I've parked the bus. The doors are locked. I've got all the whiskey ready, so, you want to get off and leave me here, that's fine. Don't worry about it. No, it's nice to be here, guys.
I'd say I could come back in tomorrow morning, Al, and you would still be quite happy here.
Well, I don't know. I'm trying to save myself. I'm trying to save myself for tomorrow night.
That's right. You've got a live tomorrow night yourself.
Tomorrow night, yeah. So,
well, listen. I think most people that's in here know you, but if just in case there isn't, give us a wee bit of background, mate, just before we go anywhere.
Whisky Friend, Alan. Been doing this now probably, I think, coming up for October, it'll be 2 years. Channel's doing okay at the minute. I'm amazed at the amount of subscribers I've had, people liking me and watching me. I can't believe that people would watch. And it's been a blast. I've opened a load of whiskey that I didn't expect to open. My collection is my selection has just depleted. I've got more bottles open than I've ever had open before. But I love the community. I love the whiskey and coming on. It's great to be here and just have a dram with you.
So you're a bit like most of us, Alan. You're a drinker collector, basically.
Well, I'm maybe not as much a collector anymore. I think the days have gone. I think everything I'm buying now is getting opened and it's getting drunk. The difference with the early days, Jim, is I used to go out and search for bottles with no intention of opening them. So, like this Macallan, no intentions of opening it, just keeping it. None of them are open, to be fair. So that's probably the last of what I've got left. There is a few collectible ones kicking around. The Kilkerrans are still collectible. The Macallans are still collectible. But the biggest chunk of my collection, all the Rosebanks and all those, Little Mills and all them, they all got sold, and I made some money and bought all this stuff to drink. So
no harm in that.
Yeah. But yeah.
So what I was going to say, part of the reason why I asked you on tonight was about 6 months ago. I put out my Springbank 12 review and said that I wasn't blown away. Was basically the way that, because I found that batch 18 a little too balanced for my palate. And
I thought when you did that review, you were just showing off, man. I thought you were just dissing Springbank just because you were Jim, the whiskey novice. You know what I mean? I think you were just, you were just looking for, you were just creating a bit of a controversy. You know what I mean? Getting people to watch, but
I'm waiting for somebody else to offer me something better. No, here, I genuinely stick by it. That now I've actually finished that bottle. I finished that bottle and left myself basically a sample for this coming forward.
Well, it couldn't be too bad then, is it, that you finished it?
Oh, here, I'll always finish a Springbank. Always.
Yeah, well, okay.
And it's one of those things that as bad. There was nothing wrong with it. It wasn't that it was bad whiskey by any means. It was just a bit too
underwhelming.
Underwhelming. Yes, it didn't.
Yes.
It didn't excite me.
Yeah.
I mean, I've said that epiphany moment. My first epiphany moment was a Springbank 21. When I say that was my first epiphany moment, that was having had Springbanks, but there was just I had a 21 in a bar in Edinburgh one day, and it just blew me away. Like, and never looked back. Well, never looked back. Always liked Springbank. As I say, I wouldn't diss Springbank because at their worst of times, I don't think that they can do anything wrong. Like,
the issue I got with him now is it's just hard to find. Get a hold of him. It's tough to get a hold of him. That's the biggest problem. There's guys in America getting a hold of him and we can't get them, and there's guys in Europe getting them and we can't get them. The one I've came across the one after yours, and I purely got that by luck. I just went on to the Whiskey Exchange to look for something else, and it was the day this came out, and it was on as a new arrival, and I just bought it. It was purely luck that I got it. No.
Well, I'm actually hoping, because I know where there is a bottle of that on a shelf for sale for the right price. And if it's still there in a week's time, I'll be going to buy it. But unfortunately, I just don't have the money at the minute. So there's a few other people come in. I just want to say hello. Neil Laverty's in. I've seen a few other people coming in there. David Owen come in. If I missed you, I'm sorry. Budget Drams Lee is in. Des is in. Whiskey Pilgrim. Frederick, I have to say hello to Frederick for the simple fact that he is a monster Springbank fan.
Yep.
So I had a funny feeling he would be in here tonight. And I just, as I say, I certainly wouldn't diss Springbank. I just found that one, as I said, a little underwhelming. But it'll be interesting to see how it compares to the 2019. I'm going to get nerdy on you, mate.
Okay.
Because
getting nerdy with me, mate. I'm no good with nerdiness.
Well, I went ahead and I just for the crack, I prepared this, which is
okay. Yeah. No, you're much too nerdy for me, mate.
But here, I just thought it was interesting for the simple fact that I was looking through some of those batches whenever. Now, I didn't actually. I'm saying I prepared this. I didn't. I actually stole that from somebody else's website, but then I added. It didn't have the maturation on it. It just had the ABVs, etc. But I wasn't, and I'd be interested to know here before we go too much further. Had anybody out there tried the batch 4 there? Because that must have been bottled at 55.10% and 100% sherry maturation. Must have been just a sherry bomb. Like it was.
Be a monster, that.
It was 60% fresh sherry hogshead, and then 40% what was it? Refill sherry butts. So it must have been a beast.
Wow. See, I think the difference between ours, I think yours is 50-50, isn't it?
It is.
So yours is 50, mine's is 65 bourbon.
And there's quite a step up, and even in the ABV between the 18 and 19. So this is the 18. What I did notice too, and you were saying that you were at these last night. I'll bring that back up later on if anybody wants to see it. What I did notice last night was that the color difference between them even.
Yeah.
The 18 was quite a bit paler than the 19. Yep.
This is water trying to work these out, man. Where's that one going? That one's there, isn't it? Yeah. So, yeah. It's the opposite way around, isn't it, man? What a nightmare that is.
I must say, though, it's a lot. Now that for all I said there about it being unbalanced and being a little underwhelming, etc., it's been a long time since I've had my nose in that 12-year-old, that batch 18, and it's still on my nose. Like,
yeah, yours is nice on the nose. I think mine's is a wee bit peatier on the nose.
I would have to agree. It's certain. I would say yours is a wee bit sweeter in the nose as well. But here, thank you again for that, Alan.
You're welcome, man. You're lucky I've not got much left.
I know. Well, as I say, I've less.
Well,
here, cheers. I'm going to start sipping.
I'm going to sip yours. Yeah, let's sip yours.
That's why I'm on the batch 18. Aye. It's been a while. Drier than I remember.
I think it's quite spicy.
Mm-hmm.
Yours has got a wee bit of nip.
As I say, it's. I find that drier than I remember it. But great stuff. Like
the smoke on yours comes out a wee bit towards the finish. On yours.
Mm-hmm. But that's
got yours just quite grassy and quite biscuity.
Mm-hmm.
On yours.
That's what I was going to say to you. That's what I was going to. I sort of mentioned it before we come on there. That's something I like about Springbank and about these distilleries that put out, and it's not just Springbank. I know there's a lot of distilleries that don't hide a difference from batch to batch to batch to batch. Whereas
they do a little bit. Well, you just put the ABV on, don't they?
Aye, you got to. I mean, well, yes, you got to go and look for that information, don't you? But
yeah,
what I mean is that when they're releasing it twice a year, naturally it's going to be changing pretty dramatically. Like, yeah. But it's more them whenever you hear people talking about something off the shelf that you buy on a monthly basis, on a you know, on even a 6 monthly basis, that something very standard, something fairly basic, and when they change, you're sort of. I've heard an awful lot of people doing reviews, and I'm sure you hear the same. You'd know the same. You'd know better than I would. That something that you have, that a whiskey that you like, and then it just changes like that, just because you hit a different rum, and I've heard people, as yet again, as I'm sure you have, and I'm sure you've maybe done the same yourself, where you can sort of fall out of love with a whiskey because it's just lost what it had prior to it, or something changed, you know.
Yeah, no, it's tough for me to fall out of love, Jim. It's tough for me. Maybe falling out of love's maybe the wrong thing, but yeah, I know what you mean. But what I found with this one, to give an example with the one I've done, I know we're going to come on to that in a minute, but the one I did when I reviewed it, it was a neck pour.
Mm-hmm.
Poured it. It was the first one out of the bottle when I poured it, and I reviewed it, and I gave it 89. But I did this last night, and I've done it. You see, it's gone down, so this is easily 91 for me now. And I think I even said in the video, I think it will get better, and it has got better. So as that's gone further down and further down, the score has gone up with it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's gone the other way. It's gone the right way. It's got better as it's went down. Rather than go the way you're saying, maybe I've gone off it a little bit. But I think is it from a buyer's point of view with batch variations, it can be difficult because you could be loving batch 18 and then you come and buy batch 19 and it's so different.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're that's where you are, but it depends on how you kind of. If you're falling in love with batch 18 and you want to get that all the time, you're never going to get it with Springbank.
No, I suppose that is the issue, isn't it? That, you know.
So, and I think what it tends to do is it opens up your horizons. It puts you in to expect, I'm going to get something different. And then it's finding that difference and whether you like it, whether you enjoy it, whether you don't. And I think most people, the way Springbank's been, I think most people enjoy them anyway, regardless whether they're.
That's what I said earlier. I mean, you know, they can't really do an awful lot wrong in my eyes. And I just think that every time then a new batch comes out, well, sure, it's an experiment because there's those of us are going to go out and buy it anyway to see.
Yeah, I don't think it matters what they're doing. I think what they're doing probably it might come down to casks, what casks they've got available, what they're doing at the time, how they put them together, how they make them up. It may just be what's there and there at the time. So they may just have more bourbon casks kicking around for batch 19 than they did when they did batch 18. They may have had plenty of sherry and plenty of bourbon. So it just depends on their casks, I think.
I don't think you and I are going to complain either way, are we? Like,
no, I never complain. you never hear me complain about whiskey, ever.
Happy days. So what about
Even if I get a bad one, you never see it. I think the only complaints that and I don't want to get too political, but Bowmore's where my big gripe is.
Mm-hmm.
Bowmore's just shocking, man.
I don't think you're alone there. Now, I mean, yet again, it has its fans.
Of course it does, and you know what? See, if I was a big whiskey, if I won the world lottery and I could buy whatever I want, I would buy Bowmore, because I think there's so much that they can do with that. The name is phenomenal. Everybody in the whiskey world knows about Bowmore. I think sometimes it's disappointing when you go to visit a distillery and you taste some Bowmore. It's always awesome. When you come and buy a bottle in the shops or off the shelves, then it's a little bit maybe underwhelming. I'd even go as a wee bit far and say it's usually disappointing for me.
This is my beef with Bushmills. So it is, you know, that I just think that the distillery tour is awful, and there's just too much. There's not enough effort put into the whiskey anymore. But that's yet again, that's a bit of a gripe, and there's wee things that come up that piss me off more so than like when you hear of distilleries or you hear of tours or you hear put on, and there's a classic that we thought had been done away with, but apparently they still do it, and this is Jameson's, and here in Ireland and down in Dublin, not in the distillery down in Cork, but down in the museum in Dublin. And what they do is they compare Jameson's to a Scotch, and I can't remember what it is exactly, but it's the worst gut rot Scotch. It's probably Bowmore, but but they find something that's some bullshit Scotch to put it up against and go, look how good our Jameson's is.
Yeah,
you know, I just listen to that and go, no, well, that's nonsense, isn't it? Like,
yeah, but those guys that do that tour will probably get sucked into the tour. But then when they actually go out and buy their bottle of Jameson's and they sit down with it, then it's Jameson's all right if you just want to sit and get pissed and you just want to have it over ice, or you just want to. It's all right. I go on holiday, I love Jameson's, man. I'll hit an Irish bar in Tenerife and I'll buy Jameson's. I'll do my shot just down. I'm like John Wayne.
All whiskey. Yet again, you said it a minute ago, and there's not. See, at the right time, the right place, there's no such thing as a bad whiskey. Like, I think. What was I drinking? Oh, I was down and I was visiting friends, and recently, and it was her family, and the father-in-law released me a glass of whiskey, and he says, "What is that?" Like I'm supposed to know, by looking at it and tasting it, etc.
Yeah. Well, you're the expert, man. We are the expert.
Aye, right. Well, I'll tell you what it was. It turned out it was Bell's, but there was nothing wrong with it. That was just to sit and have a chat.
I find everywhere has a place, Jim. So it depends on what you want. Some of these guys that are sitting now, I guarantee you probably there might be one of them drinking Bell's, but the rest are not. But there'll come an occasion where you're out at a wedding maybe, and they've got a standard bar at the wedding, and you're going to get a Bell's, or you're going to get a Teacher's, or you're going to get a White Mackay's. You're going to get a bit of Jameson's maybe. You're going to get Jack, but you're not going to get. You're not going to get this Springbank.
No.
You probably won't even get a Bowmore. You know what I mean? So it's that that's where that night becomes a different night. You're having a party. You're not going to sit at a wedding and nose whiskey, are you? You're going to just have it with a Guinness. And, you know what I mean? That finding the right moment, finding the right time for the whiskey. And that's why all the whiskies all have a place. You know what I mean?
Yep.
The guy that comes and buys his Bells at the supermarket, he's just going to sit there and he's going to pour some lemonade in it. He's going to pour some Coke in it. He's going to do whatever he wants. He's going to watch Top Gun on the telly. You know what I mean? That's his night.
Yep.
And
no harm.
If you want the connoisseur stuff, then you want the better stuff, then you search it out, and that's where the difference is. You know what I mean?
Well, obviously, the doc disagrees with me anyway. Doc, I haven't tried. What's that? Fujikai 10.
Everybody raves about that one. I've never tried it, to be fair.
No,
never tried it. No, but I'm thinking that possibly, Doc, you might just fill that with Coke or something, and it might be all right as a cocktail or whatever. You know what I mean? But maybe
said,
I've never tried it.
Right time, right place, and there's one for them all, isn't there?
Absolutely. No, I just think every time you can go, if I go on holiday, I'm not going to pick up a Springbank on holiday in a bar in Tenerife, or I'm not going to pick it up in a bar in Tunisia. You know, it's that kind of thing. I might pick up a wee Springbank lying around in a whiskey shop somewhere in Tenerife that's covered in dust and nobody knows about it. I've done a couple of them, but
you bring it home.
Absolutely. Well, bang in. They ask him if he's got any more in the back.
It's funny because
any more of them in the back, mate.
It was in Tenerife.
Take them off your hands and clear your make some room in the back for some Maltesers and stuff like that, you know. Yeah, no, it's I just have a good time with whiskey, Jim, and I'm not the one. When you come and watch my channel, mate, you're not going to learn anything. You know what I mean? All you're going to do, you're just going to see me enjoying whiskey.
That's about the crack.
That's why I started it. It was a hobby. I'd nobody to share it with. I'd nobody to drink with. My wife doesn't drink it. My mates don't drink it. It's me on my Todd. And this is my way of getting to do it. I had all that whiskey lying around and it was just sitting there doing nothing. So I just come on and chat shit and drink whiskey, man. You know what I mean?
Nothing wrong with that.
And that's how it is. I know different channels do different things and they've all got their different kind of leeways, but with me, you're never going to learn anything.
Here. It's as I said to you earlier on, when I was speaking to Whisky Straight Al that week, it was just the two boys chatting in the pub, and everybody seemed to quite enjoy it. So you can't.
Oh, absolutely. I tend to learn more. I learn more in the chat. So now I've learned to avoid, was it Fugijai? Do you remember that and avoid it? So cheers, Doc. Thanks very much, mate. I'll give that one a miss. Thanks for your recommendation.
Brilliant.
I have seen that pop up a few times.
That's the first time I've actually heard of that one. He says what was it? I seen him. He says it got 54 points in Whiskey Base, so it was a classic, obviously.
Yeah. I'll tell you one. It's always the one that always gets me with scoring. Jim Murray. Mm-hmm. Not to get political with Jim Murray, but Jim Murray reviewed Johnny Walker Red and Glendronach Allardyce, and he scored Johnny Walker higher than Glendronach Allardyce.
Which
you believe it? Madness, man. Madness. How he's even compared both of them, I don't even know how to get to compare both of them. But he did a comparison with them and scored the Allardyce, the lower of the two. Johnny Walker Red.
Yeah, again, mate, I agree with you there, but we've all got different tastes too, haven't we? Like, so it's
but that's different. That's different taste.
Taking the piss.
That's on different planets. But yeah. This is nice, by the way. This Springbank's nice.
That's not bad. No bad.
I wouldn't be. I know you've said you were underwhelmed, Jim, but I wouldn't be underwhelmed by this. It's lovely on the nose. It's biscuity, a wee bit biscuity and a wee bit cereal. I got loads in it, man. I got orange and I got juicy grapefruit. I got a little bit of tropical. I got also a little bit of peat, so heading towards the finish. A little bit sweet and nutty. I got loads, man.
You see, I just think there's so much more going on than 19. I think the 19's more, it's chocolatey and it's...
Oh, well, you're right, because when I did a list of both of them, mate, my list on mine's is like, I've got marzipan, I've got nutty, I've got red fruit, I've got red apple, I've got berries, I've got raisin and sultana and marzipan and marmalade, and I've got loads and loads of stuff. Mine's was a wee bit more bready than yours. I got more kind of cinnamon bun or kind of cinnamon roll, that kind of stuff. Bit more tarty with mine.
It's weird because for the 18 to be 50-50, to me, on the nose, the 19 actually smells more. I've started talking a lot recently about balance because it smells more balanced to me, in that they've got the balance right in it.
Yeah,
it's just And yet again, mate, I'm certainly not putting that 18 batch 18
I get a
down.
wee bit more sooty with mine. I get a wee bit more smoke, a wee bit more soot in mine.
Yeah. Yes. I would agree there.
And I think yours, although mine's is higher ABV, let me taste it, because when I did them last night, I thought yours was a wee bit hotter than mine. Let's try it tonight.
Oh, man. That's the first time I've tried that 19.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, that's incredible. It really is. As I say, I think I'm not going to tell you where it is because you'll buy
it. Oh, yeah, I won't buy it. You can buy it, mate. You can dive in and grab it.
I think there's one. I think I discovered now there is. Well, I'd say discovered. I'd actually been told about. It's an off-license Fairleys in Coleraine here in Northern Ireland. And I just got this mental impression of another, because I've known distilleries, or not distilleries, off-license, where people have told me, I go and check them out, try them. You know, they're great. But what you're doing is then you go in and you say, have you got a bottle of, no, we'll get you. And then they slap £20 onto the price of it.
Absolutely.
So I went into the fair. I just happened to be over that direction a few weeks back on holiday, and just called in for the first time. And there the 4 bottles of the batch 19 setting. They had I picked up a bottle of Kilkerran heavily peated batch 2. They had the 12-year-old, the Kilkerran 8. I couldn't believe what he had set on the shelf, and he was selling them all at the price that they went out for.
It's like anything, Jim. That's what them guys do. They're into selling alcohol, aren't they? So if they can, if I ran a business and whatever business it was, then you tend to find with the independent guys, they work harder. So they find out what's going on, or they might get guys coming in saying, "Have you got this? Have you got this?" And they'll go on. It's similar to Amazon, right? Let's say you're an Amazon seller, and you find a product and you buy it for £1 and you sell it for 20 on Amazon, right? Amazon do all the work, they do all the delivering, they do all the, all you've got to do is get it to Amazon and they do everything else, right? But Amazon will watch them sales, and what they'll do, they'll just go and fucking undercut you. They'll just go and buy it cheaper and buy 10 times the amount, and they price you at the market. It's exactly the same for that little independent guy. He's got to go and find what he needs to get in his shop to make his shop. You know, guys coming in on it. You go back there all the time now because you've seen those bits and bobs. But if you walked in and it was Johnny Walker Red and Glenfiddich 12, then you probably wouldn't go back again.
See, it's shocking here, mate. You see, Ireland, where whiskey's concerned, they've all now jumped onto this. The fact that they're banging out so many new distilleries and all. And I've griped about this so many times before. Sorry, I just want to answer a question. Luna, an off-license, basically an off-sales, it's just, it's a liquor store, basically.
I don't know what it is. I don't know. I can't see any chat here, man. I don't know whether it's my end or whatever. But
here it's probably turned off, Alan. Bear with me. Bear with me, my friend.
I don't know, man. Let's have a look. Something's happened there. You've done something there, mate. Hold on.
Can you see it now?
Yeah, I've got it there, mate. Yeah.
Ireland is just, say, they've jumped on a lot of these distilleries, and they're well put out. And you even some of the rarer shops, you'll find a lot of these new Irish distilleries. But for that, there's very few of them. So what we're buying here, what we have on offer here, is Jameson's, Bushmills, what you basically have in your usual superstore. See, with regards to Scotch whiskey, you're looking at your Airstones and your Johnny Walkers and all that there. Anything of class, forget it.
Yeah.
You know, you really got to go and look for it, especially Scotch whiskey, because Scotch whiskey here is still a thing as far as I can tell. And I think there was a few guys in here earlier on of the the specialist store where most people here, if they're going to drink whiskey, they're going to drink Irish. So
no, I think when it comes to the stores, Jim, I think because of the way whiskey is and taxes and all that, I don't think there's a lot of money in it for anybody. I don't think anybody's going to get rich having a whiskey shop or a liquor store. Somebody's going to get rich on them, right? It's more maybe somebody, because I'd actually dabbled with it maybe 3 or 4 years ago that I actually thought I might open a little whiskey shop. Because I see I had nearly 700 bottles of whiskey lying around in the house, and I thought I can maybe pick up a wee shop somewhere and maybe just quit what I'm doing and then do this. But the YouTube channel became the other way. They got I bottled it in the end, to be fair. I checked out premises and all that, but not much money to be made in it. You may have a markup of £10 a bottle. That's why when you go to maybe a whiskey shop in Manchester, you're paying something like 80 quid for a Glendronach 15, but you can pick up on the whiskey exchange for maybe 65. So you've got that £10, £15 markup, but they need it because they're paying rent, they're paying wages, they're paying whatever, and there's no a lot of money in it. To be fair, it's like petrol stations. I think the guy that runs a petrol station gets about 5 pence in a litre out of petrol. You know what I mean?
I was speaking to a brand ambassador for one of the new Irish distilleries here a few weeks back, and he said that I was sort of grousing a bit. I would love to get my hands on a couple of the Waterford offerings just to have, and they weren't coming up to the north. There was nobody getting hold of them, and then if you did get them in the north, they went out with an RRP of €77 on them, in the south, which I thought was a brilliant price. And I thought, well, if I can get them at that price, happy days, I'll have them. And then by the time they were getting to the north, they were looking at least, and this was selling them in the shops, they were looking at least £90 for them. And I was speaking to a brand ambassador, it wasn't for Waterford, but for another Irish distillery. And he said that the duty that is getting put on this whiskey just traveling over the border between the south and the north is shocking. Like,
I had a guy in my shop a couple of weeks ago. I was selling him a sofa. I got Irish lad he was, got chatting to him and his missus. And it turns out he doesn't drink a drop, Jim, right? But he's been collecting whiskey for nearly 30 years, right? But he's not been collecting it. He's been collecting it and flipping it. He's been flipping it quite quickly and all that kind of stuff. And I was sitting chatting to him and we were talking about auctions and all that. I just picked up a couple of bottles at auction. He was telling me what he was going after and what he was trying to get and all this. He came in to pay his balance a couple of days ago. And he was telling me that Waterford one, he picked up a case of it. I reckon he got it for about £75 a bottle. He's picked the case up. I don't know where he got it from, how he got it, whatever he done, but he tends to buy stuff like that, comes onto it for a bit. I think he was planning to flip it. I says, I wouldn't flip it, I'd hold onto that. Keep it a bit. But he's just wanting to make a quick 20 quid a bottle, 30 quid a bottle here and there and everywhere. Just a little bit of dabbling. As long as he's making something on it, he's not going to hold on to it for 5, 6, 7 years. He actually said he's got some bottles up in his attic that he can't even remember the last time he looked at them.
Well, I can tell you, I know for a fact, because the latest Irish whiskey auction finished yesterday, and I just happened to be watching a bottle of some, but I had the Waterfords on in the background just to see what they were doing. And they released a pilgrimage bottle there for anybody that was making the move was willing to go down to the distillery and pick one up. And somebody was selling the 3 standard releases, which have just come out along with the pilgrimage bottle. And the pilgrimage bottle was signed by, I don't know, but it just said it was signed. And the 4 bottles, when they finished, sold for, was it €1,110 or something like that there for so it was a good, whoever it was had them on, made a great return on them, like, because I know that.
I'll tell you, what you know about crazy auctions, Jim. See this one here, this green one here. I'd been collecting these and I missed the boat on this whenever I think I remember watching Jason Whiskey Wise reviewing it, and I thought, oh God, that's out. I'm going to go and try and get a bottle. I couldn't get a bottle anywhere. It was only out 3 weeks. It was sold out everywhere. This, right? This is a belter, by the way. This is one of the better of this range. It was sold out everywhere. So obviously I looked at the next auction. So this auction was only 3 weeks after it came out, and there was 1 bottle of that on auction, right? That the time that auction finished, that guy got 450 quid for that bottle, right? But the guy that bought it, by the time he paid his commission and his taxes and all that, and his delivery and all that, that'd be over 500 quid, right? Because it was the first one out, and all them guys that were trying to get them dived all over it. They've probably got 3 or 4 guys trying to get that. That's what driven it up, right? You see the following auction, there was 110 of them in the next auction. And they all went for about 90 quid, 100 quid, 110 quid.
Aye.
I mean, so you can get bumped quite badly with the auctions.
I know it's right place, right time, isn't it? Like, because I was sitting watching. I have a bottle of Dunville's 10-year-old, which is sort of becoming a bit sought after now. And I
think you've sent me some of it.
Aye, that's the one. And I was actually toying with the idea because I paid £45 for it whenever, knowing that it was going off the market. And I actually bought 2 bottles, opened one, drank it. The other bottle still, say I drank it, I give it to you and whoever else, I drank about half of it, I think. And it was, I'll be totally honest with you, it was just all right. It's not even their whiskey, it's Cooley whiskey. So it's, but it's now selling for, well, there was 2 on there and they both sold for €110 each. And I thought, well, no, they didn't. Sorry, I tell a lie. One sold for 170, one sold for 160. That's what it was. And I thought, well, I mean, if I could make that sort of money on it the next time, but what I'll do is, if I could sell that bottle and somebody wants to buy it for that price, what I'm going to do is go out and buy 3 bottles of something that I want to drink then. And that's the way rather than because I just can't be, the only reason I bought it was, as I say, for that reason, literally, that I thought, well, if they're selling out, at some point that'll be worth something. So
but I always think that those bottles, I think if you think about it, right, rationally, somebody's paid 170 quid for that £45 bottle, right? That's a £45 bottle of whiskey. So the guy who's paid 170 quid for that, he's never going to open that.
No.
He ain't going to open it. He's going to hold on to it for a bit and he's going to put it into an auction maybe next year or the year after or the year after that. And he may get 200 quid, he may get 220 quid for it. It's purely just, and then that's the downside with the whiskey. And now with the collecting side of it, is there's always a market, but there's 2 ways. I've got my collector's head on, is that if it wasn't for collectors, then me and you wouldn't get to try these 1980s bottles, these 1990 bottles. Some guy sat with them for 20 years in his basement, and somewhere along the line, it gives me and you the opportunity to get a hold of one of them. So if that comes up at option, then that's where I'm happy to dive into that and get a hold of it. But for me, that's he's made his money. He's sat and he's done all the earning on it. He's earned everything he gets for it because he's sat waiting after it for 20 years. But me and you get the chance to drink it.
I know, mate. I've a nephew who has a bottle of some Coleraine or something. I think is it Coleraine or something? But it's 1920 something. And he's just sitting in this and sitting in that, and he's not into whiskey, he doesn't drink whiskey, he's not into collecting it. And this was just a bottle that's been through their family, that's just sat there gathering dust, and he's been at me a time or two with it, what would that, asking me how the hell would I know what it would go for, like what I want to do.
Easy to find out, man. It's easy to find out.
Oh, I know, but I just want to open it.
Well, you've been in the family since 1927, man. It's family heirloom, isn't it? You get shot, man. He's the guy that's opened it. You know what I mean? Everybody else, it's like he's the curator of it. He's looking after it. It's his time. You know what I mean? It's it's like these guys in the big houses that they've had the houses since the 12th century. You know what I mean? They're just the custodian. He's the custodian of that bottle. You're trying to get him to open it, man. He'll get, if this was the 1800s, he'd get hung. Open that bottle.
Sure, he could run over by bus tomorrow. That's the way I look at
it. Yeah, where does he live? Where does he live? Get me his number. But yeah, no, it's I'm enjoying both of these, mate.
Aye, definitely. It's funny because I do, I'm not being smart when I say it, but I do enjoy yours better. I do enjoy that batch 19 more. It's weird because that batch 18. I've been sipping at it here, and it's come back to what I thought originally. It's flattening out a wee bit on me.
If I was to pick one, I'd pick mine.
Aye, 100%.
Yours is not. It's no disappointing. I'd be quite happy to sip it.
Yours, that batch 19.
A wee bit tropical yours now. A wee bit tropical note with yours. Or is that mine? So maybe put a topper on this. It might be mine. It's
still not getting tropical on that.
Yeah.
But it's just, I definitely still think that batch 19's just got more body about it. It's got something, a real oomph on every night. Whenever I've tried that batch 18 for the first time again there, which is the first time I've tried it in a while, yes, it was big, it was bold. But then whenever I went into the night, yours, the batch 19, it was bigger and bolder and just brought more with it. I know, I'm definitely, I'm swung to the batch 19 there.
See, that's so from that point of view then, right? And if that 18 was your one, maybe it didn't really blow your boat, but let's just say you bought the 19 was the first one you bought. Would you be trying to go after batch 20, wouldn't you?
Aye, and I actually looked at that too, because the batch 20 is, and I'm going to do it, aren't I? The batch 20 is the same maturation.
So from that there, see, if you had this information here, then you would probably go and go after the batch 20.
But actually, well, do you know what I want to go after and what I'm going to be looking for? Even, well, obviously on the secondary market, but I would like to try the heavier sherried versions of them. So
looking at these, so like batch 13 to batch 17 were all the same, weren't
they? Yep.
In fact, there's only one in there that's different, which is the 12, which is the same as the 19.
That's right.
All the rest were 30-70, so it seemed to be the 30-70 mix.
No,
probably most of them there are 30-70 mixes out of all of them there. So that seemed to be the kind of thingy. That can only put it into the casks, Jim, that the casks are not there to maintain that.
This is it. And it's but as I say, it's almost it's experimentation on Springbank's behalf, isn't it? And
yeah.
And I mean, they did that. I know because I've seen them behind you at times. The work in progress stuff that they did with Kilkerran.
Yeah.
And I had one of them. I had a dram on one of them recently. It was a sherried one. It was the blue label.
Okay.
Pale blue label one. And incredible.
They're all awesome. They're all awesome. I've bought them twice, Jim.
I suppose you could actually open one.
I bought them. No, I bought them and I was planning to keep them. But when I started drinking whiskey, I started opening them. But I got them all again, and I thought, do you know what? I'm going to keep these ones because they're all nice. Everyone, I don't think there was a disappointing one of all of them.
No.
And they were younger. They get younger and younger. They got older and older as they came on.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first one was probably about 4 years old. I think 4 years, 5 years old. Kilkerran's a great example as well. That they didn't even bring out a 10-year-old. They just went straight to the 12. They waited to the first core release was a 12-year-old.
So I just wanted to bring that up before we move off it. The Luna's asking, the bourbon mature brings out more of the funk. You see, not having had it with the heavier sherry maturation, I don't know.
I get a little bit of burnt rubber in mine.
See, I got that.
I struggled to find any in yours. I couldn't get a funk in yours.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Funk.
And I tell you, you're 100% because that was a nose that I couldn't put my finger on earlier on. And that's what it is. It's burnt rubber.
I get a wee bit of rubber in mine.
Yep.
But yours, I think, if we delve into yours, right, and I don't want this to sound nasty, but if you really dig deep into it, there's a wee bit. It's maybe a wee bit of kind of vomit, wee bit kind of, you know, that kind of sick.
acidy sort of smell, and just.
But it's right deep down in there, so you don't really come across it unless you really try to find it. But I found with both of these, I didn't get really much of the Springbank funk as such in either of these.
What about the you were talking about Kilkerran? What about this 16?
Oh yeah, what about it?
When's that due? Do you know? I missed that.
I watched the when they did the virtual whiskey festival and the guy for Kilkerran came on. He said as soon as the distillery gets open, it's ready to go.
Right.
So he'd hope he was probably estimating sometime in October. But I don't know if it's open yet. I don't know how far on. I know Cadenheads is open in Campbelltown, so I'm presuming the other one, the batch 3, heavily peated, that was already bottled to come out. I seen that being bottled. Seen a video of that being already boxed up and everything ready to go. And I think the lockdown came and kiboshed that as well. I know a few lads that have pre-ordered it. They've got it on pre-order, but I've had it pre-ordered for about 4 months now. So it's just a case that that's ready to drop as well. So I think Kilkerran, I think you're finding now when you look around for the Kilkerran 12, it's sold out everywhere. So nothing's been coming out.
Yeah.
I think with Kilkerran, I think it's 6 weeks a year. They only work 6 weeks a year at Kilkerran. You know what I mean?
Oh, Luna's saying that Kilkerran just opened today again.
Well, there you go. So you're 16. I don't think I'll be far away.
It's just I know that as I say, I was a Springbank fan anyway. But then whenever it was that Kilkerran 8, it was the bourbon Kilkerran 8 that I had.
That was the first. That was the first 8.
Mm-hmm. I had samples of the sherry. Now that's something that is the only one thing I have against Kilkerran. Stick it on the label that one was bourbon matured and one was sherry matured, because it just, we know by looking at them what's what, sort of. But it was the fact that
you only get it if you buy it off the shelf and you don't look in the tin. And you might be surprised when you get home. You might end up with a one, and you might end up with a bourbon one. But no, I think it's the thing, Jim. I don't think it's like these ones that you're comparing now. There's no information on there about them either. It's just a thing with Kilkerran and Springbank. They don't. You could probably track the information, but I think looking at it's down to the ABVs. You'll find all the 8s. Oh, there's 2 or 3 bourbon one. I think they're up to batch 4 now. I think the bourbon 8, and they're all different ABVs. I think 56.2 was the first one, and they've dabbled around 54 point odd and 57 point odd. I think Springbank seem to like this 57.1. Got quite a few of this 57.1 landing now. The Kilkerran 8 is 57.1. This is 57.1. But there's a few of them dabbling around. I think with them, there's so much going on. I don't think they have to now, and whether it's that little bit of not secrecy, but kind of keep me in suspense and all that kind of mystery.
Aye, and it's what, and I mean, you said earlier on about I was saying about being nerdy, and you were saying you weren't nerdy, but I mean, we're nerdy enough to know that sort of stuff, that as in you would know that obviously you know the difference between a Kilkerran 8 sherry matured, Kilkerran 8 bourbon matured by looking at the bottle, but as 100%, I mean, we don't have the information about the maturation on hand. But
why I don't think they have to put the information on, Jim, is because if you go out into your neck of the woods, right, you're not going to find a lot of Kilkerran that you can make decisions on.
No.
You're going to find lots of Springbank that you can make decisions on. You're not going to find 2 or 3 Springbank 12s that you're going to say, oh, well, I have that bourbon matured one, or well, I have that one. You're just going to snatch whatever you can find, aren't you? And I think that's probably one of the things with Kilkerran. They're keeping a wee bit of mystery to themselves there. They're getting people to go and do what you've done with that chart and go and find what it's matured in. You can find it. You can find the information if you want to look for it. But I think there's not much point, because you might not come across that bottle and unless you end up in a wee shop in Tenerife and you find a 57.1 lying around, but you're just going to snatch it up rather than buy it. And I think there's only so much. I think some of them, where I think some of them make the mistake is like some of the bottles, they put so much fucking nonsense on the bottle about glacier water and all that, and about, you know, the old guys from the past and the smugglers and all that's all on the bottle. And I think if it's full of gumph like that, then I'd much rather see the information than the gumph. But at the same respect, I'm a wee bit, I like the idea of this is why I love Aaron. All Aaron's all about smuggling, and this is why I can't really seem to get into the newer distilleries. They don't seem to have a history for me. You know, like say your Bimbers and your Waterford and all that. They don't seem to have the background. You know, I'm looking at an Aaron quarter cask and it's saying it's quarter cask because back in the day in the 1800s, the casks were too big for them to smuggle, so they needed smaller casks. So everything was done in quarter cask. You know, and they've got all the different kind of. I like the story, and I kind of, you know, like say the Corrie Vrecken and all that, the Whirlpool, and you know, it's the Kilgallen Cross and all that. I love all that kind of history and all that stuff. Sometimes I see too much marketing on some of the labels, but I get on about glacier water. It's this was back in the day and whatever. You know, some of it's a lot of.
Oh no, it begs the question we sort of know who they're selling it to, and it's not you and I, because that's not the sort of, we're not the ones that are going. Well, unfortunately, too, and I mean, yet again, this is the great thing about the community, isn't it? That
absolutely
somebody out there will have a bottle of it, and it'll save us having to go to the
This is what I'm doing at the minute, Jim, because I don't know if I can't even show you behind me here, but you wouldn't believe the amount of samples I've got down here behind me. I've had shitloads and shitloads of samples, and they're coming in that quick. I just can't get time to drink them. So what I've done, and my comments I'm getting over the last few months, is people are saying, "Have you tried this? Have you tried that? Have you tried?" You know, these kind of, there's some under the radar distilleries to me. Kilkerran's no under the radar to me. Glen Scotia's no under the radar to me. But there's some of these ones like say Ben Nevis's and Tam Dew's and maybe a little bit of Tomatin and stuff like that. Glen Alecky was under the radar till about 2 years ago.
That's right.
Look at Glen Alecky now, man. It just shows you how things change. So what I've decided to do the next 5 or 6 videos, I'm going to do hand-pick samples that people have sent me. And it's kind of under the radar distilleries to me, like Tam Dew's. There's so much whiskey out there, man. Just like these kind of samples I've been given here, man. I've got a couple of Cavalans, right? I don't know if you can see these. 2 Cavalans. And one of these Cavalans I've been gifted is the oldest Cavalan ever bottled. It's a 13-year-old Cavalan.
What's it here?
Crazy. Virgin.
It's because of the heat, isn't it? That they just
but it's distilled in the 28th of August 06 and bottled in the 7th of 8th 19. So it's 13 years old, man. And then I've got this other one, the port cask as well. They both look awesome. They're a high 58s and 59 ABVs. The other one, this Glen Alecky one, everybody kept telling me about this 13-year-old Glen Alecky. It says black is 2 in the morning, but I've had that many. I say I can't get it anywhere, but I've had that many samples of it. And then I managed to pick up a bottle at auction, and one of the guys rung me up, says, "I've got another spare one if you want that as well." So now they're coming like buses. That's the beauty of it. You know, it's the community is awesome, man. And there's quite a few in here that I've shared samples with. I've shared with Luna, I've shared with Greg, I've shared with Alan McGlynn. There's loads and loads of guys in there. They've all shared back, and that's where I pick up some of these now. And to be fair, Irish is one that it's not a big thing for me. Jameson's, I'm hard to say, is probably my extent, is that I'll do it on holiday. You know, but they're sending me Lestals, they're sending me Redbreast. You've sent me a Yellow Spot, I think. So there might become a day where I might do a wee Irish night, maybe. So maybe on paddies or something. You know, I don't know if everybody will be watching me. They'll be busy doing paddies.
I'm totally honest with you, Alan. I'm not even a big Irish fan, apart from getting into the likes of those red breasts and all the single pot still stuff. I don't think there's anybody has put out a bad single pot still yet.
It's not an Irish thing for me. It's just that I've only been drinking, Jim, for about 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
I was collecting for 7 years before I drunk anything. So it's about 4 years, and there's just so much Scotch to do at the minute. I'm getting into bourbon because I've got a mate in America who's sending me all sorts of bourbon shit, man. He's sending me shitloads of it. Samples after samples.
See, bourbon, yeah. This is something I wanted to say to you, because that's something I respect you for, and I'll always say this to anybody who does what you're doing, that you're open to anything whiskey wise. You'll try from anywhere.
Yeah.
And I always respect that, because there's too many. And yet again, and I'm not putting down the Irish whiskey community, but there's members of the Irish whiskey community have told me this and said it can be a bit narrow-minded, where there's not enough influence by Scott. See, peated whiskey in Ireland is just nearly forgotten about, but I like to try from anywhere. Bourbons, rye. I mean, I think.
Tell you, Jim, I could put out, let's say, for instance, I've just put out one. What did I put out? Ben Nevis 10, right? I know when I put that video out, the first couple of days I could get 500 views on it, right? I could do a Glenallachie 10 before that. The first couple of days I could get 500 views on it. I could probably get 100 views in the first 2 or 3 hours, and gradually over that first day it rises and rises. But the minute I do a bourbon review, it's tough.
Yeah.
View-wise. I know for a fact that maybe I'll be looking at it, and when you get your analytics, it gives you your last 10 videos, doesn't it? So when I'm looking at my last 10 videos, if I've got 2 bourbons in there, they're definitely 9 and 10 on bourbons. And I've tried everything to do. I've tried to put really, really hot thumbnails on them. I've tried to put really, really hot titles on them. I've changed some of the titles recently, and it seems to be working a wee bit. I just did a Bal Maria, which was an awesome whiskey, man, from Garrison's Brothers, right? It's about $250 a bottle, and I got a sample of it, and it blew my mind for that one. So I've done a review of it. I had about 150 views in the first 2 months. Changed the thumbnail, and I changed the title to one of the best Texas whiskeys ever. And it's had about 500 views in the last couple of months. And I think sometimes, but I don't know if Mark Slinger's in. Mark Slinger once said to me that
earlier,
if he can't buy it, then he won't watch it. You know what I mean?
I totally agree with him. Because you see, if I've got to the point where I was watching, I was talking to somebody about this recently, and he was in earlier.
All right.
Earlier. I'm not sure whether he's still in or not.
Before I interrupt you, Jim, Mark, it's not about whether you can buy it. You just want to watch me enjoying it. That's why you should be tuning in, man.
Because it was that I can't remember who it was I was talking to about this, and it was somebody within the community, and I was saying I was watching or trying my damnedest to watch damn near every video. Anybody that I subscribe to, every video they put out, and I got to the point where I thought, there's a whiskey that I'm never going to have. And I just thought, well, as much as I appreciate what they thought of it, I'll never own that. So
you never know. You never know. That may just be slipped away. You might be doing that wee walk with your flip-flops on and Tenerife, and you walk in and that's lying on the shelf. You know what I mean?
There, Mark's still here.
No, Mark is not in it. Is he there, is he? Yes, I'm here, Alan. That comment was only about bourbon. There, Donna Passey's popped in as well, man. How you doing, Tim?
Tim's been in a while. Sorry, it's just in there. And Jimmy Jazz, I forgot there's a few people that popped in here, and I have to apologise. I just haven't got round to saying hello. I'm not busy talking to Alan. But I do, as I say, I'm quite happy. The way I look at it is it's all fair game. And I did a World Whisky Awareness series, and I'll do another World Whisky Awareness series, and it gave me the opportunity to to try whiskies from around the world that I probably wouldn't have tried.
Yeah.
You know, and that's part of the reason why I know exactly what you're saying about how viewers go up and down for videos and
yeah, but to be honest, Jim, sorry, Jim, for me, it's not a case of that anymore because I never ever came into it to do this for subscribers.
No, I'm the same.
I just came into it just to sit with somebody to give me an excuse to drink some whiskey. So it's, for me, it's just a case. But and I'll always continue to do the bourbon ones because the reason I'm doing it is because somebody keeps sending me it. Mm-hmm. So I think it's only fair to them if they're taking the time to send me something. Just again, Mark Slinger, I was on I did a Skype call with the Dram Yankee last night. He's posted your samples today, so he's trying to get Mark onto bourbon. So he's labelled up. I've told him that I'll do my best to get them to you. I don't know how quickly I'll get them. And I don't know how safe it's going to be coming across the Atlantic. Some of them might get a little bit damaged in that, you know. So I'll get them up to you.
The Doc, I don't know if the Doc's still in here, Macallan Fine and Rare, but he's not a bourbon man either.
Oh, no, he's just
I think bourbon's one to take. Now it takes.
How are you doing with bourbon, Jim? Have you tried much?
Oh, I've had quite a few, and I have a good friend over here, Whiskey Graham, who's a big bourbon man, and he works and hasn't traveled to America as much because of the lockdown and all. But he was in and out. He spent his time in America, and he was just bringing back as much as he could, and he was sending me samples regularly. And I like my bourbon. I do like it, but I just find an awful lot of it very similar. I find it sometimes a little hard to differentiate between.
I'm going to send you this. This is my Bourbon Infinity bottle.
All right.
This will blow your mind, man.
All this good stuff.
This has got a little bit of all the good stuff I've been sent. Angel's Envy, Stag Junior. It's all sorts of stuff in there, man.
I think it takes. I found that it takes because I sort of had. I've probably been through it.
Macallan Rares on Bourbon.
Sorry, mate.
Macallan Fine and Rares on.
Hi, Bourbon. I've been through probably, but I would sort of go through where bourbon's concerned. I tend to what I'm buying. I do tend to stick to what I like. I'll buy 101. I'll buy. I love Four Roses. So I would continue to buy Four Roses and that sort of thing. But I know there are better ones out there, but I just don't like spending my money on stuff I don't like taking a chance on something that tastes very similar to something that I've had before.
Take a chance, Jim. Take a chance. Live a little bit. Dive in. If you buy something you don't like it, you can always send it to me.
Richard and you's got right, and another fellow Northern Ireland man. And this is, I just think, as I say, some of them can be a wee bit samey.
Can I give you my take on it, right? Because I've been lucky enough, probably for the last year, to have lots of bourbon, right? Lots of decent bourbon. And I know we're never ever going to get it here. So you're going to pick it up if somebody goes to the States and you're going to come across it. You know, they've got bourbon over there for silly money, man. They've got, they've got Elijah Craig for something like $30. You know, it's just it's incredible stuff. You've got your Four Roses and they've got all the different casks. They've got the store picks and they've got all the, they've cash strength ones and we tend to be, it's all, for us, it's more supermarket bourbon. I think that's our experience of bourbons. I've been lucky enough to try some awesome ones like them Garrison Brothers. I've had a Jack Daniels, which I've had 2 years of it. The Heritage Barrel, the 19 and the 20. They're two phenomenal Jack Daniels whiskies, man. The Jack Daniels single barrel proof is incredible. The Stag Junior batch 12 was incredible. Angel's Envy, they finish everything in port finishes and some sort of wine finish. They're all incredible, man. So they've got their good stuff out there as well, if you know what I mean. I think we were talking about it earlier, but sometimes we get that kind of supermarket.
I agree 100% because even
they're nuts for it over there. You watch some of them American channels, they're all nuts, man.
Yeah, I've been sent a few of the ones.
This beating saying do the bourbon.
The Stag Juniors, I've had a couple of them, different batches, and they're just pretty much. I would nearly say, and I'm looking. I keep finding I'm looking at my what I have over here, but my Buffalo Trace, anything that the Buffalo Trace distillery are putting out has got a bit of quality behind it. Like,
awesome, man, I got a really, really nice Russell's Reserve single cask. Awesome. But we seem to be getting more comments, Jim, on the bourbon than anything else.
Aye, because there's Al, and like Al, I know, and I think Al's a bit the same as myself. That he started with bourbon, and I started with bourbon. Yeah. As in, I always think bourbon's a good lead-in. Whereas, because it's sweet, it's vanilla, it's but yet again, there are those in here.
But you see what Donna Bassey's saying there, right? Elijah Craig, $23.
I know.
That's a point. You're not gonna bat your eyelids at that, are you?
I tell you one.
Even you did that shit, you buy that for $23, wouldn't you?
Prime example that I always talk about was Mellow Corn, the 100% corn whiskey. Now, since I've tried a couple of other 100% corn whiskies,
that's Heaven Hill, isn't it?
It is. It's Ball and Bond, made by Heaven Hill. And I've tried another couple of 100% corn whiskies, and there is better. Don't get me wrong, but
it's cheap as chips.
$6. Some of them are saying they get it for $6 fucking.
How can you keep a bottled in Bond, man, for $6? Who's making money there, man?
I'd have that in my cornflakes, and I was getting it for that price.
Yeah. No, that's Bond's got to be like 4 years or something, isn't it? It's got to be 4 years.
4 years, 50%.
And a Bondi warehouse, man. It's mad, and it's $6.
Yeah. So, it just. And what annoys me more, I don't mind that, Al. That's their whiskey. That's for them to do with what they want. But it's when you go there and they've got our whiskey and our good whiskey, good Scotches and good American or good Irish whiskies that we can't get fucking hands on, and they're selling it over there for ridiculously low prices.
Alan Fine and Rails just said Jack Daniel's single barrel proof was offered to a big group at the Nuremberg Whiskey Festival, and they put Macallan. Doc, I can't believe you're pouring whiskey away, man. What you doing, man? Send it to me. Any of that bourbon you don't like and you come across it, just save it and send it to me. I'll find a good home with it. There's Steve A's popped in, man. Whiskey warehouse are cheap. Yeah, corn whiskey is used, barrels, yeah. That's the difference with that one as well. It's used, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Used barrels.
But even still, we don't mind it. It's the thing, we'll take it.
Yeah. That's under a tenner. It's less than a tenner.
We're using them.
Yeah. Wow.
And
nice to see you.
Sorry, I bought a bottle of that Mellow Corn here in Northern Ireland. How much did I pay for
it? 20 quid.
£36.
36, man. Wow,
and that's pretty much what it's selling for, even on Amazon and stuff. It's madness. And as I say, so there's somebody's making a hell of a profit there.
Yeah. See, we've got a bit of controversy going on here, Jim, because Chris Beaton saying the Jack Daniel's single barrel proof is the best. Yeah, so
to be honest with you, Jack Daniel's, to me, and I've tried a few of them. I've tried the single barrel. Don't think I've had the barrel proof. I've had just a few of those other ranges coming from Jack Daniel's. Jack Daniel's I think it's just got bad memories with me, because that's where I would have started.
Absolutely, yeah. No, all you remember is number 7, don't you?
Yeah. It doesn't matter what I try.
Some of them American guys in there is some great Jack Daniel's stuff over there. You know that thingy heritage barrel you got, that's going for $200, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so you can imagine how cheap bourbon is over there, but you try and get that on a shelf, you're lucky if you find it long enough on a shelf. The guys are charging $200 for it, and it's gone. You know what I mean? I do have a bottle on its way at some point. I've got a bottle purchased for me over there, so I'm looking forward to getting that. Anyway,
barrels. Would you think we'd ban a barrel, Alan?
Oh, I've been talking about that, man. There's some of that came up in my last live stream. I think Luna was on when we were talking about that. I think the discussion we had with Luna is that I think there was one kicking around on Instagram, I think, or Facebook. One of the guys, or the Aquaviti group. I think somebody was trying to organise.
The bar flags, I
think they thought there was too many.
Mm-hmm.
I think Luna's idea was get less guys and have more whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, granted, you're going to pay a wee bit more, but I think that some of the guys were talking about paying £100 or something towards a barrel, but and getting a bottle. I think that was the plan. You were going to get a bottle out of it, but I think she was a wee bit greedy and she wanted to maybe spend £300 or £400 and maybe get a few bottles out of it, you know. So yeah. So no, I think I've got a couple of lads in. I've got a little WhatsApp group in Manchester here where there's 5 or 6 guys in it. Gabriel's one. I don't know if Gabriel's in tonight either, but Gabriel's got 3 casks. He's got I think he's got a 3-year-old Kalila.
Nice.
He's got an Ardmore, I think, and he's just recently bought one of the new lag peated ones at Aaron. So he's got 3 casks in a minute. So I think the talking to him about it, it's all right buying him, but he's in 2 minds what to do with him. How long does he leave it? Does he bottle it? Does he sell the cask back to somebody else and hopefully make some money? So there's it opens up other scenarios. What you do with that cask? You know, it'd be nice. It'd be nice if I bought a cask, maybe, and if I'm still doing this channel in 10 years, is bottle like Ralphie's done. He's bottled a load of Ralphie bottles, and you know, and maybe sell them off as, you know, a Whisky Friend bottle. It's a one-off. There's, you know, maybe 150 bottles.
Mm-hmm. You know, there's potential there, like.
But I don't have the patience for that, Jim. I don't have the patience for that. It's all about, you know, I'm living for the moment. You know, I'm living for my next dram.
Well, I hear there's nothing wrong with that either. Like, so there's not. Yeah. That's funny because there's.
Yeah, of course I was being greedy. Alan knows what he's talking about.
Yet again, I think I've heard an awful lot of it going on over here because of these new Irish distilleries opening up, because it's a good way for them to make money very early on, you know, and people are buying them, and it's, as you say, but it's the same people that's buying them as bought up all the you know. I have a friend in Belfast who he would ask me, have you tried such and such? Have you tried this? Have you tried that? No, and he's like, I've got 4 bottles of it. My first question to him is, well, have you tried it? No, and I never will, you know, and it's just a case of, well, like,
no, but here's my take on these new distilleries, right? But just take Bimber, for instance, right? Everybody's raving about Bimber. And it's just put out a 3-year-old whiskey that's charging anything 65, 70, 80 quid for a 3-year bottle of Bimber, right? Where does Bimber go when it becomes a 10-year-old?
That's a very good point.
You know what I mean? Where does it go then? Is it going to come back down in price, or is it just up there? Is it inflated because it's new? But people are fighting over each other to pay 65 quid to pick up a bottle of that Bimber. And by all accounts, I've had a few samples of it, and it's nice. It's nice whiskey. But I'd hate to think where that's going to go when it's a 10-year. Even if it gets to a 10, I don't know if they'll get to a 10-year-old, but whether they're going to keep doing it as young whiskey.
See, it seems to be the nature now, doesn't it? That nobody has the patience anymore. Nobody can afford to have the patience anymore. They open the distilleries. They either make gin or they just put out somebody else's, which is the culture here. You buy up a shit ton of barrels from somebody else and sell it off under your label. The days of opening a distillery and sitting on it. Well, they're not over because it's happening and still happening in Scotland, where you wait for the distillery to come around, because Isla's still doing, Ardnahoe's sure still doing it.
Yeah, but they'll be selling new make.
Yeah,
I'd be surprised if they're not selling new make at the distillery. So
I
think about it, because Jim, there's a massive outlay in money. I'll give you an example. I've got a mate in Falkirk, and we've been mates now for about 10 years, right? We met on holiday 10 years ago. I've been up there a couple of times a year, stayed at his and whatever. But round the corner from him, they're opening up this it was a little bit of, it was like a marsh. It was like a bit of quag marsh, man. But then I seen some stuff getting built up in it, and I says, what's going on over there? And he says, they're building some sort of whiskey distillery on there. I thought, right, okay. But this has been going on for 10 years, man. It's up now. It's called the Falkirk Whiskey Company. But it's been up for 10 years now, but if the structure's been up now probably for 3 or 4 years. But you never see anybody working on it. You never see anything do it. Every time I pass now, something else has happened. We've built some warehouses down the bottom. The last time I was up, I've seen some barrels being stacked up outside. So, but that's been going on for 10. So you imagine the money behind that for 10 years, man.
Yeah, doing nothing.
No income. Where's it coming from? They're not even doing any new make. But I think a lot of the ones distilleries now are doing new make. I think Ardnahoe will probably be doing new make.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because
investment.
Tim asked that, and yes, a lot of these Irish distilleries are doing it. Well, gin. They're banging out gin left, right, and centre. Like,
they can make it. It's all the same spirit in it, so it's just a case of.
Well, this is it. But I actually It's funny you saying about new make spirit, because Alan McLaughlin and I had this chat on somewhere earlier this week, and I could get shot down here very quickly. But at least if I'm going to get shot down, Alan will get shot down with me, because he agreed that I think even a lot of it, I would be one to say of an older distillery, a distillery that we knew and we liked, and I'm not even going to name any names, just any distillery, if they released a 20 cl bottle of new make, just to release it to let you know what their new make spirit tasted like, I'd buy it, just to know, to give me an idea of what they've got going, what this spirit that they're putting out, and before it's
you're just a dare to the geek.
I'm like, Alan, I can't help it.
You're being geeky.
I really am. I can't help it.
Instead of sending me a 20 centilitre bottle of new make, I'd rather send me a 25 first fill cherry. I'd rather send me that. The doc said that Bimber single casks are going for several €100. See, so that's where the madness is coming now. So it's not just at the auctions, the madness. You've got auctions. I'm afraid 10-year-old Bimber would be way too oaky for me. It's already very oaky wood tech. See, so that's where it's. And I don't think these distilleries are thinking, are we going to get you a 25-year-old? You know what I mean?
Well, they're looking. I can tell you now that Hinch Distillery here in Northern Ireland have already put a price on their first casks, and the distillery isn't making anything yet. And you're talking, by the time the duty and etc. is on there, you're probably talking the guts of, what was it? I think it was 5,000 or something that we're talking originally for a cask.
Yeah.
By the time the duty and all goes on, it'll be more than that. Like.
Yeah, no, I think when Gabriel bought his, I think he bought his Aaron one. He paid $6,000 for it, and that's total fees, $6,000. All he's got to find on top of that now is decide when he bottles it, and if he bottles it, is he going to bottle it? Is he going to label it? Is he going to do all that, or is he going to sell the cask? I think he's got an independent bottler maybe lined up in Manchester, Charlton Whisky Club. I think the Charlton Whisky. I think he might be looking maybe do something with that, but that's where he is, because the only expense going to get next is what he does with it.
Well, that's not bad. Like, I mean, if you've an independent bottler setting up,
you know, I think some of the others were cheaper. I think the Ardmore one was cheaper, and I think the Kalila one might have been a wee bit more expensive. So I think it depends if you're going to buy an Ardbeg cask, and I think you wouldn't get any change out, maybe $10,000. An Ardbeg one, you know. But again, that's a whole different story, isn't it?
It sure is, mate. Listen, Alan, if you don't mind, hanging around. I'm going to wrap this because I know, as I say, you do like a marathon session, but I generally try to keep it to an hour, but it always runs over a bit.
Yeah.
But as I say,
no, I'm happy, mate. I'm getting off when you're getting off, man. I've got tomorrow night ahead of me, man. So
and listen,
I set myself up tomorrow and get myself all ready for it, and what whiskies I'm going to have around, and have my backups just in case. I need backups for my backups, so it's in case it gets messy. But no, it's been a pleasure, mate. I've thoroughly enjoyed talking to you. We need to do it more often. I'm going to send you a wee sample of this bourbon, mate, just to kind of try and for the bourbon corner. I might send you a few. I might send you rather than send you whiskies, I might send you a few bourbons, man.
Oh, happy days. No, I appreciate that, mate. And as I say, Alan, look, honestly, I said to everybody that's on, but I've never spoken to you before, because I always say about the whiskey community, it's the best friends I've never met.
Yeah.
And we've never met. Most of us have never met, but it's the fact that we know each other, sort of, don't we?
Yeah, and Ralphie, always remember Ralphie saying it. The best, probably one of the greatest statements Ralphie ever said, and I don't even think he meant it when he said it. It's like a global village.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? When I sit in some of them live streams and I see guys, and when I get chatting to them on the live stream, they're in Malaysia or they're in Taiwan or they're in Japan or they're in New Zealand or Australia and Canada, and it's just amazing that you can actually just sit, and to have this facility where you could just click a link in and that guy from Canada can just come and have a dram with you and just chew the cud. And that's where I think I'm enjoying my live streams at the minute. And I think that's why they drag on, because I'm enjoying them that much that people they're glad that they're hanging around. I think Nick said, I'm going to take the dog for a walk, but I'll be back in about an hour because I know you'll be here. So I think that's becoming a wee bit of a kind of understatement now. So I don't know how long tomorrow. Just to let the guys who are in tonight that may be thinking of coming along tomorrow, I'm going to plan like Jim's doing. I'm going to plan for about an hour maybe. See where it ends up.
All right.
Yeah. 9:30 tomorrow.
9:30 tomorrow. I like the fact, as I say, that it's you could have a bottle. You could like a bottle. You know what I mean? And you just like whiskey, and you could just jump in and listen
I don't know if you saw the one where I got Eric Waite on. I got one with Eric.
And I got but not all of it.
Reviews of what you call it? What did he review, man? He had a wee bit of thing going on with Neil with the whiskey trials and all that. Kick off was going off. So I thought it'd be a wee bit mischievous, So Eric happened to say, send me a link and I'll come in. And I thought, oh, great. But he just reviewed a couple of bourbons and he scored one of them 95 out of 100 and one 98 out of 100. Oh, what am I thinking? What was it? What whiskey was it he did, man? Anyway, he did do 2 reviews. So I managed to get him on. And I'm saying, Eric, come on. 95. And I'd probably had a few by then. 98 out of 100. I said, what's the best whiskey you've ever reviewed? He said, Dark Cove. Ardbeg Dark Cove came out of release. I said, what did you score it? He says 95. I said, how can you score that bourbon a 98 then? Oh, no, but it's completely different. And I said, you must be taking bribes, man. You're getting paid by them, man. You're getting paid. I'm not being serious, but you must be doing a Jim Murray, man, And then it so happened that the 2 whiskies that he done, I had samples of them. I said, I'm going to get these samples in. I'm going to wait there and I'm going to try them with you, man. And I'm trying them and I says, there's no way this is 95 and 98. But I think he couldn't wait to get off. You know what I mean? I says, you must be getting paid and you're not telling anybody you're getting paid. But yeah, it's one of them. It's bugging me what that whiskey was, man. Well, I know one of them was a cigar malt. It's a cigar blend. Anyway, so that's a different story, mate. Right. But I know you've got things planned tomorrow, mate. So yeah, thanks very much for having me. Give me a shout anytime, Jim. If you know where I am, I'll send you a link, mate. I'll pop you a link and you're welcome anytime. But it could go on to you about 2 a.m, so I don't know if you're still allowed up by then.
No, well, some of these nights whenever the wife's not around.
Yeah.
No, let's not.
I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, mate. Listen, genuinely, I really, it's the first time you and I have actually got a chance to chat, and
we'll probably meet up somewhere down the road somewhere.
Whisky Street Al said it. You know Alan well. Always dangerous.
Yeah. But here, lucky you got me after an hour, Jim. If this went on for 3 or 4 hours, man, I don't know what I'd have done. Well, here, I might have that beard of yours off or something by then. 3 or 4 hours in, mate. You know,
it's not dangerous for the wrong reasons, at least.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing.
Cheers, buddy.
And listen, anybody else, please join Alan tomorrow night. I'll certainly be in there for a while. Maybe not straight away, maybe not for a long time, but I'll be in to see what he's talking about. So
here. If they continue, we'll end up in that chat of Alan's tomorrow evening.
That's what happens. Alan, cheers, man.
Take it easy, mate. Cheers, everybody. Slanch.
Yes, there we go. That was Alan. And as I say, that's the first chat I've ever actually had with Alan. And he is a top bloke. Most of you know him anyway. We all know that he's a top bloke. And those conversations are always good crack, aren't they? And as I say, I miss most of you. I know what I'd always do. Alan spends an awful lot of time in the chat, and I always get lost talking to the person I'm talking to. It's something I'm going to have to get better at. Doc's said good night. Doc, thank you for being here. There's a few, as I say, came in tonight and I missed, and I apologize for that. I always do. Sorry for missing you. I'll be back in a couple of weeks again with something else. Not 100% sure what it'll be, because I always make this up as I go along a bit. But until then, look after yourselves. I've drunk everything I had. All the Springbank's gone. I'll hold the glass up. Here, thanks for joining in. Here's to your good health. Cheers.